In Berlins ältestem und kultigstem Kino, dem Movimento, findet dieses Jahr das 4. Down Under Berlin Film Festival statt. Die Filme der australischen und neuseeländischen Filmemacher sorgen beim Zuschauer nicht nur für ordentlich Fernweh, sie bieten auch tiefe Einblicke in die indigene Kulturgeschichte der beiden Länder.
Yeah, why run an Australian film festival in Movimento? I really loved the feeling of this cinema. That was definitely one part of it. It felt like home, which very much ties into the festival this year, but it really does. And there was all these other great film festivals coming through, and you could see who was running it, who was behind the whole production, and it made me realize that it's possible and it's something that I can do. And also Berlin gave me that feeling of inspiration that I'm able to make a project that maybe would not have happened in Australia. And I missed Australian film, so it's very selfish at the beginning. And this is something that wasn't here in the landscape of film festivals. There are so many here, but we are an important part of bringing films from so far away to this continent, and also finding many Aussies and New Zealanders around Europe, around the world, who can be a part of this as well.
This year it's about 70 actually, which is the most that we've shown so far. Lots of different films like documentaries, feature films, short films, experimental works like the one by Tracy Moffat, sorry. Yeah, lots of different pictures.
Yeah, I guess one of the challenges is finding the films that we want. We have call for entries, so people send in our films. We talk to film schools in Australia. We write to them because we don't call them necessarily. And we choose films as well. So for sections like the Aussies Abroad, it's a mixture. And the challenge then is to kind of coordinate, hi, are you coming? Can you come? Please be part of our experience as well and come and talk to people about your film. And it's always different for filmmakers. A lot of them use the film as their language, and maybe they're not the kind of people who want to chat and talk about it, but we seem to have good luck that a lot of filmmakers who come are good talkers and really give you more than just this person and screen experience, or even lots of people and screen experience, so you have more, Mehrwert. Yeah, they seem to get on very well with each other, and I hope that they share some ideas. We had set designer and directors and writers and musicians, so we had quite a nice mixed bag of people who work in film.
I guess that's like what we're trying to do during those 4 days during which the festival runs. We're just trying to create a certain atmosphere that brings Australia to Berlin and makes people who maybe have been there or want to go there realize what it could be like, and that's another aspect of it. Like, we're trying to approach people who just have the interest in film, but also the ones who are interested in culture, which is why we have book readings as well, and all those other aspects that we're trying to integrate into the film festival. And we're still a film festival, and that's like the main focus of it. But Down Under Berlin is about a feeling as well.
Well, I thought, as an Australian filmmaker living in Berlin, well, I thought Down Under Berlin is kind of the perfect thing for it. So, this is my first one, so hopefully it does give me some opportunities to show my film to some people interested in that specific area.
And very good. I mean, it seems like we're all very, kind of talking with one another, and there's a lot of discussion, and yeah, it seems very relaxed and a very intimate type of environment. So there's no, doesn't seem like there's a lot of egos, and people aren't dumbfounded, and they seem comfortable enough to be able to speak, I suppose.
I think it's excellent to be meeting Australians and Germans and non-Australians and non-Germans, and any opportunity to get your work out there and shown is a good one.
I was trying to get the audience, I guess in that way it wasn't really audience and people on a platform, but kind of trying to integrate people and say, ask them something, because you have that opportunity and you're here. In the Q&As in the cinemas, it's often that we have maybe 2 or 3 questions from the audience, and people are more shy, I guess, in that position. And then after the panel kind of, went out of this formal seating arrangement, people were chatting to each other and exchanging ideas, and it's really nice to see that, we want to bring people together and we want them to, develop new ideas. Maybe there'll be collaborations in Berlin or in Australia or anywhere in the world.
You're welcome to have a seat and get close to these people. They're moisturised and they don't smell. So, I want us to bring everyone together and just, like we had a little chat in the cinema, and talk about, where are we all from? A lot of people from down under, Australia and New Zealand, and we're all up here at the moment.
It's funny. My film it's screened in Hollywood and in 3 different screenings, and it was on in Norway, and now it's on here. So it's been very interesting to watch different audiences. And I gotta say, the one common denominator, and this is so. I guess it's the human condition. There's like a scatological joke where she holds up a mug that says "coffee makes me poop," and across the board, that's the one gag that every audience has laughed at. And I don't know if that's a sad thing about humanity or what, but the Norwegians were more sort of listening and a little more serious. And I noticed today there was more giggling, and there were different things that they were giggling at. And I think the LA audiences laughed more and more guffawed, but they might have been drunk, so.
An dieser Stelle werfen wir einen kurzen Blick auf Sarah Doyles Science-Fiction-Komödie You, Me and Her.
Every decision you've ever made breaks off a different version of reality, sort of like an alternate universe. There are many, many yous out there, many, many me's. You just happen to have met one of yours, okay?
What? Here at the DPR, we help parallel refugees integrate into society.
Usually they arrive because of a crack or glitch in the fold. But when we get this many of one person, honey, we keep an eye on our version. I'll be damned. Another one.
I met all these other versions of myself today.
All right, who should I make this out to?
And they're all better than me.
What about the sign twirler?
Dude, she was really happy. Like, really thin.
This is like Schrodinger's cat. You're dead and you're alive at the same time. Wait, is that string theory?
If you break pattern in any way right now, you could cause a kink in the continuum. And then that's it. Our universe, bye-bye, be gone.
Or is she like a future version of me or something?
I think I'm younger than you. What makes you so special?
Nothing.
Yeah? Well, we're stuck in this shithole universe because of you.
Excuse me, this universe rocks.
Oh!
Look, I'm a human being, and I have a voice, and I deserve to be happy.
Maybe I'm the one. My fate is to keep being boring. The fate of the universe literally depends on it.
7 billion people. You want to get some tacos?
No, I don't know. It was, I think, like we were watching all the films, and then it was apparent that home was one of the main themes of all of the films. So I said we should make that the main theme of this year's festival. And then, of course, we've got the Aussies Abroad film section, and that just ties in perfectly with the theme. So that's how it all came together, pretty much. And we wanted something that's, I don't know, that sounds good too, like that rings. We didn't just want to be too blunt. We wanted people to think about what the theme actually means. So
yeah, it's not necessarily about feel at home, like telling people how to be or how to experience these films. Make it home. Berlin, I have made into my home, or filmmakers make their home wherever they are. Where you're accepted is at home. Where you're appreciated was another comment from the panel. So it's kind of like your family becomes your community in that way. And I feel like that's definitely a big thing in Berlin. It's not for everybody in Berlin. Some people hate the busyness and the kind of the action that never stops. And home for them is somewhere that is quiet and less cars and more trees, I guess.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I think the longer you're away from where you possibly grew up, you feel continually, a little bit lost or something. You lose a sense of place. I mean, I'm not German, but I actually feel quite welcome here, and I don't think anyone's ever told me, except for maybe one or twice occasionally when I was being an idiot myself, that what am I doing here or whatever, in a less kind of positive way. But yeah, I don't know. It's a really difficult question, and I don't know. Can't really kind of put it in a nutshell, but I did make a film that was dealing with this topic, so I mean, maybe it was for me to try and work through that.
Anybody who's got a dream, who's got a mission, that's the only reason why you can't make it happen.
I don't have any sailing qualifications, I don't have an insured boat, I don't have radio ships licenses. I just don't have the money. I'm just doing what I can with what I have. If that makes me a bandit, then so be it. To his best friends. Where do they live? What do they think? What did they think when he died? Do they know that he had a kid? If you're here on a yacht, you're wealthy by world standards. Even though I've only got $500 left, I get to get to New York City.
Good luck to him. If he makes it, it's great. If he dies, we'll miss him.
The challenge with that is, I guess people don't really know what Australian filmmaking is like. So I guess sometimes when they hear, okay, there's an Australian film festival on, they don't really know what to expect. And since we have such a diverse range of films, it's tricky because you'd actually have to go out and pitch it to all those different groups. So I guess if people did have a clearer idea about what Australian film looks like and feels like and what kind of stories it tells, maybe it would be easier for us to approach a greater number of people. But I think that's what we're about. Like, we want to debunk, stereotypes, and we want to show people that Australia is about more than kangaroos and wombats and the beach,
I don't think that there's the same volume, possibly, of what's being made. I think because there's just so much more television here. I mean, there's how many channels in Australia? It's still relatively small. there's pay TV and things like that. But I think that, by the sounds of things from people that I know, that, they're trying to make films and everyone's kind of fighting to make their film, and it's a fight, and I think that's the same everywhere. It's just hard to kind of raise money, and things. So, yeah, if you get lucky, you get lucky. Yeah.
I'm absolutely no expert, but I mean, I think there's a similarity in wanting to take risks and look outside the box. And I think geographically for Australia, that is because we are outside the box. But then at the same time, I think in Australia, there's so many like very culturally Australian things about being Australian and playing cricket and eating fish and chips and drinking beer, and like kind of like gaggy things.
Ein Film, der die idyllischen Landschaften des Outbacks und die liebenswerten Charakterzüge seiner Bewohner vereint, ist der diesjährige Gewinner des Down Under Berlin Audience Awards, The Choockman.
You are my hero, Johnny Cash.
Welcome to the Lady What Has Come. Now this is a very serious song, folks. I wrote it myself.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm I'm happy.
Every night I think about my boat. It's very important to me. It's like a dream. Right in the middle is a windmill. Luxurious accommodation. Oh, so exciting. And they're going to have my vegetable garden. Looks a bit rough at the moment, but it will be absolutely fantastic. If you do something that's written in a book, that means that someone else has done it before. This is not, what I'm doing here is not written in the book. Satisfaction.
We are making beauty on this life.
I can feel the freedom coming.
There's pain, there's strife. We are making beauty on.
What are you doing over here, Frank?
Bloody crashed already.
What do I think? I think it's pretty unique in Australia.
And you're walking through the bush. And you feel amazing. Oh!
Guest room, the guest room.
Hey, Kenny!
He's probably one of the happiest people that you could come across.
When I go out with Frank, I put this on to disguise myself.
Look at this mosaic.
Because he can pursue his dreams, I think.
You're only alive once. If you get a chance to achieve something, you've got to keep working towards it. I haven't experienced this sort of thing before. Yeah, who knows? It takes a while to discover what you're here for. Notice the little things in life more than anything.
Das Down Under Berlin Film Festival zeigt sich jedoch auch kritisch. Der neue Film Utopia vom preisgekrönten Journalisten und Dokumentarfilmer John Pilger thematisiert die historische Unterdrückung der Aborigines.
We're about 200 miles from Alice Springs and heading into the red heart of Australia. It's a region known as Utopia, the poorest place in Australia. It's the home of the first Australians.
If they're part of our society too, they have to do the same as us.
I was waiting for a description of the concentration camp that was here. Historic rottenness, play and stay.
We rounded people up into our own concentration camps.
No more whispering in our minds.
Welfare men found us and took us, and mothers were screaming and crying and hanging onto the truck when they drove us away.
We've got a lot of racist policies in our past, but this one was the mother of them all.
One less loved one at Christmas.
One rule for the whites and one rule for the blacks.
He was just left in his cell to die while police officers searched the land.
You think you get all the Aborigines on your side?
Every way I can.
But no more whispering.
I don't believe in nationalism. It gives a false sense of identity of those who have stolen lands of which they now believe that they so rightfully inherit.
Rise up to make a change. Stop these killings.
They made a stand against this. And this is one of the most historical movements in this country.
I think the main message from the film is that is whether Aboriginal people can get a treaty in Australia or not. The thing that is good about the film is that it is communicating the issues that are affecting Indigenous people. I'm just not sure it's communicating them in a way that's as comprehensive as it could be. Indigenous people live off the land, and you know it's only really in the last decade that Indigenous films have really started to have a spotlight on them and started to really be made and get more global exposure. And I think it's a great thing to communicate that information. Utopia is a fantastic film to put on at this festival for the non-Australian audience and for the Australian audience, and both I think will be maybe a little bit shocked and maybe learn something new. I definitely learned quite a lot from this film, and also the filmmaking style is special on its own and kind of gets you a bit angry because you want a documentary maybe to go in a different direction than this one does. But it's a brave film, and it kind of stirs up a lot of emotions and political thoughts and ideas, and in a positive way to say, what can we do? Let's, reassess how we live together in this country.
Für das Berliner Publikum gab es auch einen Dokumentarfilm, der ihre Stadt aus einem ganz besonderen Blickwinkel zeigt. Mehr über das Erstlingswerk von Carl Tomic erzählt er uns jetzt selbst.
Well, I was always interested in documentaries in real life. And I mean, that's easier to document and a bit more interesting. And it's something you could do as one person. I don't need to hire actors or anything, and it was in a subject that I was interested in. And it's about what it's like to step into the shoes of someone else's life, but it's also about the Berlin street music scene. Yeah.
Just arranged that I'm going to speak is just going to look good.
I just came here to play in a festival, and I decided to stay longer just to visit my friends and make some music.
I'm Temple Hayes.
Wait, you're what?
Temple Hayes.
Temple Hayes? What's your name?
Temple Hayes.
Up with Max, my old roommate. We got really drunk because, I hadn't seen him in like a year and a half, and I lost my camera.
I didn't have any money and I had a guitar, so I just started doing that, and then I came here kind of the same way.
Today I'm going to do my first day busking. Max is still on his way here because he had a detour with his teeth.
I was broke that day. The only day I've been broke. Went out and started busking.
I need to make money. So the fact that I can actually do what I love on my own terms, without a boss, on my own hours, with my own ideals and my own fun, I'm basically making money from what I love.
Come here every Sunday when the weather's good. We are here. When it's raining, we bring some plastic tent to protect us from the rain and the instruments.
Well, The Naked Horse, the story of The Naked Horse. I guess that's also the movie, and when people watch the movie, they'll find out. But it was about seeing what it was like to survive as a street musician, and to make it more authentic and make it realistic, I set myself all these rules, and I'd never been a street musician before this. I hadn't played guitar in 10 years. I mean, I did have some experience a long time ago when I was a teenager and trying to be a guitarist in a band, but the fact was I wasn't very good, so I kind of gave up and pursued other careers in the music or film industry, which has ultimately led me to this 10 years later. But having no experience, not knowing any songs and not being able to sing, I had to come up with ways to attract people's attention and to earn some money. When for the purpose of the film, it was having to live my life as a street musician or a street performer. I could have done anything. But when I tried that, I failed miserably. And thus, this is the story of how the horse came to be. Berlin makes it a little easier. I have spoken to some other street performers in other countries. I did make a brief trip to Budapest, to Prague and to London, and even to Spain, and all the other street musicians I've spoken to said that Berlin is definitely one of the easiest and most open places to be doing this. They seem to be more willing to let these artistic people, show their stuff or get away with doing it.
Und zum Schluss natürlich noch die Frage, wie geht's denn im nächsten Jahr weiter mit dem Down Under Berlin Film Festival?
I mean, since we began as a film festival, we've begun to realize that you can't just, you can't keep things out in a way. You don't want to stop other cultural aspects coming in, and we want our audience to experience as much as they can, and get artists to become part of this, get artists involved and be seen. Music is definitely taking off for Australians in Berlin at the moment. I'm not sure in Europe, then of course will follow, but every cultural aspect that we can get our hands on, we like to present that.